The sound of overlapping chatter and laughter pressed in from all sides. A wall of noise that felt both celebratory and suffocating. I was standing in a crowded living room, the air thick with the sweet scent of frosting and the waxy smell of extinguished birthday candles. Champagne glasses clinked in a symphony of a toast that wasn't for me, my own birthday. The date I had quietly confirmed with my mother just weeks ago had been swallowed whole by the family gathering, invisible to everyone. At me. My eyes scanned the room. Landing on my mother, she was basking in the reflected glow of my brother's latest achievement. Our gazes met across the sea of relatives, and she began to weave her way toward me. A familiar dread coiled in my stomach. She stopped before me, her head tilted in a show of sympathy, her lips stretched into that tight, fake smile she always used when she was about to humiliate me under the guise of politeness. "Oh, sorry, sweetheart," she said, her voice dripping with a clying sweetness that never quite reached her eyes. "It was just an accident. We didn't get you a cake this year." The words hung in the air, a public declaration of my insignificance. The people clustered around us shifted uncomfortably, offering strained, awkward laughs to diffuse the tension they couldn't understand. But I was watching her, my focus sharpened by years of similar moments. I saw it, the brief, triumphant flicker in her eyes, the subtle, uncontrollable smirk tugging at the corner of her lips, there and gone in a heartbeat. That was the moment the last fragile thread of hope inside me snapped. This wasn't an accident. It never was. The forgotten cakes, the gifts still in their shopping bags, the celebrations that were always for Ethan. It was a pattern, a deliberate and cruel design. My name's Lena. I'm 25. And that night, surrounded by the ghosts of my own celebrations, the scales finally fell from my eyes. It changed how I saw my parents forever, transforming them from simply flawed to calculatingly neglectful. I've built a life away from them, working as a content editor for a small digital magazine. It's nothing glamorous, but the quiet focus of shaping words and narratives pays the rent for my little studio apartment in the city, a sanctuary they've never visited. Meanwhile, my parents continue their pristine existence in a 6-bedroom house in the suburbs, their world of marble countertops, immaculate white carpets, and a golden retriever that's probably more loved and remembered than I ever was. My older brother, Ethan, remains their pride and joy, their shining trophy. He's finishing law school, the perennial golden child who can do no wrong. Every family gathering, from a simple Sunday dinner to a holiday feast, is fundamentally a celebration of Ethan's latest success, no matter how minor. And me, I was always the quiet one, the creative type, the afterthought they politely joked about when I wasn't in the room, their laughter's soft weapon. But they made one critical, foolish mistake in their long-running narrative. They assumed that being quiet meant I wasn't paying attention. They never realized I was a master archivist, silently collecting every slight, every forgotten promise, every dismissive glance. A few weeks before that night, hope, that stubborn weed, had sprouted in my chest again. I had called my mom, my birthday falling on the same weekend as our annual family barbecue. "Mom, I just wanted to check. My birthday's that Saturday, right? Should I bring a cake or..." I was already offering my own solution, my own compromise. "Oh no, honey," she had interrupted, her tone breezy and cheerful as ever. "We've got it covered. Just come and enjoy yourself for a fleeting, foolish moment." Standing there with the phone pressed to my ear, I had actually believed her. Maybe this year would be different. Maybe the archive would finally be complete. When I arrived at my aunt's house, the backyard was packed with the usual cast of characters, cousins, aunts, uncles. Everyone was laughing. The grill was smoking. Music floated on the summer air. I fell into my role, helping set up tables, a fixed smile on my face, my heart a nervous flutter of anticipation. I was waiting, watching for the moment when someone would turn to me and remember. Then I watched as my aunt emerged from the kitchen, carrying a massive, beautifully decorated chocolate cake, its surface aglow with sparkling candles. "Congratulations, Ethan." Everyone cheered in unison, The applause was thunderous. It was for passing the bar exam practice test, not even the real exam. And in that roaring, celebratory space, I, leaner on my birthday, ceased to exist altogether. The silence after my quiet declaration was the loudest sound I had ever heard. It was a heavy, awkward blanket that smothered the patio's earlier merriment. I had waited through the entire evening, a silent sentinel for my own recognition. First, there had been a boisterous toast for my cousin Emma's glittering new engagement ring. Then, a small, patronizing round of applause for my aunt's luxury SUV. The hours had stretched on, a slow-motion parade of everyone else's milestones, while the day on the calendar that belonged to me faded into irrelevance. Finally, as twilight settled and guests were seated with food and drink, my mom had clapped her hands together with an air of finality. Well, that was lovely, I think. We covered all the celebrations, right? The casual cruelty of the question made my stomach twist into a hard, painful knot. I swallowed hard, my throat dry, and found a sliver of my voice. Actually, I said. The word barely more than a whisper, yet it cut through the air. Today's my birthday. The whole patio went utterly, profoundly silent. All eyes swung to my mother, who blinked at me with an expression of pure, unadulterated inconvenience, as if I had just reminded her she'd left a like on a home. Oh, that's right, she said, letting out a light, tinkling laugh that felt like shards of glass. We didn't get you a cake this year, sweetheart. Total accident. Then came the smirk, a tiny, vicious curl of her lip. You're too old for cake anyway. A wave of nervous whispers rippled through my cousins. My dad, ever the enabler, chuckled weakly. Don't be so sensitive, Lena. It's not a big deal. But it was a monumental deal. It had never been about the sugar and flour. It was about the fundamental respect of being seen, of mattering enough to be remembered. I painted a polite smile on my face, a skill I had mastered over a lifetime. But inside, I was a wildfire, burning away the last remnants of my compliance. They thought I would just swallow the humiliation whole, as I always had. They were wrong. 2 weeks later, Ronta commenced. The invitation was for a fancy dinner at an upscale restaurant downtown, a place with white tablecloths and prices listed without dollar signs. My parents had framed it as a gathering to celebrate everyone together. A foolish, desperate part of me thought maybe, just maybe, this was a grand, belated apology for the birthday fiasco. But hope is a dangerous currency in my family, one they are experts at devaluing. When I arrived, flustered from traffic, I saw them already seated, all of them, at a big, celebratory round table. There were 7 chairs, filled with the familiar faces of my parents, my brother, and my aunt's family. I was the 8th. Hey, Mom, I said, forcing a smile that felt like a grimace. Where should I sit? She gestured with a flutter of her hand toward a small, solitary table tucked near the kitchen doors. Oh, they only had a table for one left. You don't mind, right? You're so independent. That word, independent, their favorite euphemism for being purposely excluded. I sat there, alone, scrolling through my phone as a shield against the pitying glances from other diners, while their laughter echoed from across the room. Every few minutes, my mom would offer a faint, condescending wave in my direction, as if acknowledging a waitress she might need later. When the photographer hired for the evening arrived, I instinctively began to stand, my body moving on autopilot toward the concept of family. But my dad's voice boomed out. Let's do just the immediate family first. They lined up Mom, Dad, Ethan, a perfect, gleaming unit. The photographer, glancing round, asked, anyone else joining? My mom didn't even look at me. She shook her head and said, with a serene finality that shattered my world, no, that's everyone that matters. The words landed not like a slap, but like a punch to the chest, knocking the air and every last illusion from my lungs. When the photo was posted with the caption family means everything, something finally broke. I uploaded a video, exposing the forgotten birthday and the solitary restaurant table. I said, The cruelest thing isn't to forget you, it's to make you believe you never deserved to be celebrated. It went viral, my parents were furious, but for the first time, people saw the truth. Now, every year, I buy my own cake, post a picture with a genuine smile, and caption it, accidentally unforgettable. You can't erase someone who finally decides to be seen.